mainstream media might not present this particular candidate corrupt, or you might not hear an issue of corruption about this particular individual. However, the corruption happens, I see it still as corruption, when a candidate or a public servant focuses its laws that will benefit only the Hello, welcome everyone to Psychology and Social Issues. This is Philip, and welcome back to my channel. And we're going to have another video, psychology discussion, and related with current social issues right now. And we're still in the topic of psychological testing and assessment. And for today's video, we'll be talking about common assessment methods, and we'll try to apply them in choosing our our candidates this coming election. Okay, today is May 3, 2025, and we only have how many days? 9 days before the election. So we have to make it sure that in choosing our candidates, we get to evaluate them properly, especially those candidates who will be making laws like congressmen and senators. Okay, so I already had two videos about psychological assessment, testing and assessment. First one, I introduced the topic, psychological testing and assessment. We differentiated testing and assessment. And yesterday, I uploaded also the video about classical decision theory and applied it to why, or how are we going to make decisions in selecting our candidates. And for today's video, this will be the part 3 of it, which we are going to identify common assessment methods and apply it in selecting our candidates. Okay, so stay tuned, stay until the end. Hopefully, we get to apply these things in choosing and evaluating our chosen candidates for this coming election. Okay, so by the way, before we will start, please do like and share my videos. And by the way, thank you for those 5 individuals who subscribe to my channel. I already have 5,000. I already have 5,000 subscribers to this channel. Psychology and social issues. By the way, regardless of how many subscribers we have, I'll continue uploading videos discussing psychology-related matters, since this is my passion to teach psychology. Okay, so let's start. What are the common common assessment methods, psychological assessment methods? Okay, first we have portfolio. Okay, what is portfolio? We'll try to understand first. These are work products, whether retained on paper, canvas, film, video, audio, or some other medium, constitute. Okay, for most cases, the decision on recruiting an individual relies more on the impressiveness of the portfolio. Okay, so portfolio, I believe, somehow applicable in choosing our candidates. By the way, before I continue, psychological testing is important as well in selecting our candidates. However, the Constitution does not require candidates to go through with this assessment or testing methods. Even drug tests, the Constitution does not require. So let's just hope that whoever will win this coming election, they will try to implement this kind of things so that the voters can choose properly. Okay? So if there are candidates who would like or who will volunteer themselves to have drug testing, IQ test, EQ test, and that would be better. Okay, maybe we can demand, we can request from our candidates, but again, it's case to case basis. It depends on their, because we cannot force them. Okay, so that is why we hope that the coming senators and congressmen will try to implement this one, because next time, if this is part of the constitution already, whoever will try to run any position in the government will be subjected to those testing. Okay, and since we cannot have the testing, we'll try to search for other assessment methods like this one, portfolio. Again, these are work products written on paper. So that is why if you notice, okay, several candidates who keep on posting about their pictures and their accomplishments. Okay, so that's because that's their portfolio. Though we call it in our own language, it's paepal. Okay, it's paepal, but that's what people are looking for. That's the issue here. Okay, so if paepal method is not is prohibited, then we can find another ways to have portfolio. So we can check on the background of the candidates and their accomplishments as well. Okay, so it is easy for us to find their accomplishments because it is recorded in the websites of the different agencies. For example, senators, congressmen. So you can check their achievements. What are the laws they authored and co-authored? So you can check on them. Okay. By the way, personal opinion, it does not follow that the more, the better. Okay, that's my concern, because a lot of candidates right now, they are selling themselves, like telling people that they have countless of laws authored. Okay, so that's usually what they do. Okay, personally, I would look into the quality or the right issues addressed by their laws. Okay, I think I shared in the other video, a particular candidate in the topic framing effect. I shared as a particular candidate about his laws and who benefits the most from his loss. Okay, so again, portfolio, you can use it. Canvas, paper, film, video, audio, you can check on them. These are mga achievements. It even extends to education, like instructor's portfolio might consist of lesson plans, published work, and writings, and even visual aids. Okay, so the same thing with candidates. Then we also have case history data. So, or sometimes known as case study. So, you have to evaluate your candidate about his history or one's history, background. Most of us somehow are limited to the educational background of the individual. I personally would look into educational background, but I focus more on the groups or organizations being affiliated by the candidate, because there are a lot of NTF-ELCAC release list of organizations or groups right now that are somehow connected with Communist Party in the Philippines. So that is why personally I would double check, because I believe educational background there is less important in terms of public service. Okay, again, but I'm not saying it's useless. Again, but for me, it's lesser important or less important, because all of us are affected with the same issues. Okay, whether you finish a degree or not, all of us are affected with corruption, poverty, so on and so forth. We've seen all these things. Yes, that is why, whether you have a good educational background, you experience what others have experienced and have the idea how to resolve it. Okay? So again, case history data. Please do not limit yourselves in the historical, in the educational background only, but also to the, because there are candidates who became, let's call this one, student body leader, uh, became leaders in their own organization. So try to check the background of the organization. Okay. So it refers to records, transcripts, and other accounts in written, pictorial, or other form that preserve archival information, official and informal accounts, and other data and items relevant to an assessee. Okay, so whatever history information about the candidate, please do consider, including family background, including uh neighbors testimony. Okay, so including neighbors testimony, including their performance, even if they were barangay tanods in their area. Okay. So next, case history data may include files or excerpts from files maintained at institutions, agencies such as schools, hospitals, employers, religious institutions, and criminal justice agencies. Okay? So, by the way, do not limit yourselves to what the mainstream media is telling us, because personally, this is my evaluation to the mainstream media. They will only present favorable informations that will favor their advocacies. Okay, so for example, if this particular candidate is their long-term ally, so most likely they will keep on presenting favorable information about that candidate. And for those candidates who are not their allies, who keep on calling their attention, yeah, exposing their incompetencies, for example, so they will also throw negative informations about that candidate. So that is why personally, I don't rely on mainstream media. A lot of people right now, they rely on vloggers, but of course you have to remember that vloggers are one-sided. If you rely on vloggers, be sure you have to listen to both sides. Okay, or both information, so that you'll get to have both positive, negative information, then evaluate properly. It is better to have two sides in your evaluation. Okay. So, case history data can shed light on an individual's past and current adjustment, as well as on the events and circumstances. Okay. That may have contributed to any changes in adjustment. So next, we also have behavioral observation. This one is very important in selecting our candidates. However, let's just present first. Behavioral observation is monitoring the actions of others or oneself by visual or electronic means while recording quantitative or qualitative information regarding the actions. Okay? So behavioral observation, what are you going to observe in the behavior? For clinical practices, this one, inpatient facilities. So you have to go there in different facilities and observe the client. But usually in common practices, you just have to look for the ABC. No? Okay? So this one. These are the uses there. Behavioral research about classrooms and prisons. Of course, this the ideal practice, but of course we will apply we're talking right now of the election, so let's just pass that one. Okay, what are the aspects of behavior you're going to observe? Are these are the ABC: affect, cognitive, or behavior tendencies, or behavioral, the ABC. Uh, and then as well, you're going to observe the motivation. This is very important as well. Affect, talking about the feeling. Behavioral tendencies, these are the normal behaviors, natural tendencies of the person. And then cognitive behavior. Okay, so motivation, um usually motivation will come out in their advocacies, in their plans, in their focus legislation, so on and so forth. Affect, their feelings, what are their thoughts and feelings about the current issues right now. So that's why personally, automatically, no, I would I would mark cross or X mark the candidates who would like to be in the middle in the current issues right now. Or say for example, the current issues about the surrender of former President Rodrigo Duterte to The Hague. Okay, there are candidates who don't like to take a stand about the issue, whether if it's legal or not. And there were lawyers mentioned, several lawyers mentioned that it's somehow illegal. Okay, the arrest warrant, it's legal, but on the basis of its implementation here in the Philippines, it becomes illegal. Unfortunately, there are candidates who don't like to make a stand about it. Well, why I automatically mark them cross? Because they are afraid if they will take a stand on a particular issue, they might lose votes, and vice versa. Lose votes on the other camp. And if they take side on this one, they may lose votes. Okay, why? Because there might be possible issues they need to resolve in the Congress and Senate that you need they need to take a stand. Okay, regardless if they lose followers or voters in the long run. Okay, so for example, issues related to divorce, abortion. These are crucial issues that wherein you need to take a stand. And if these candidates currently do not take a stand as of the moment because they are afraid of losing votes, then probably they will rely their stand in the future issues like divorce, um, abortion will depend solely on the demands of the public, not on not on their moral stand. Okay, so that's why personally, mm, automatically X. It is better to evaluate the candidate or candidates that are making stand right now, that are telling that this particular, whether they agree to you or not, again, they agree to my stand or not, as long as they are taking a stand. Oh, say for example, even if they agree that the surrender of PRRD is legal, then it's okay. At least you take a stand, or the candidate took a stand. Okay? If this particular candidate took a stand that the surrender of PRRD is illegal, then that's better. At least in the current issues, you are taking a stand. Okay? Then cognitive behavior, the way how you reason, how you react, this one, affect, feelings, cognition, thinking. Okay, so if you don't, if a candidate stayed away from these current issues, then I doubt I will not consider them automatically. Then behavioral tendencies. This is what are their tendencies? For me, I automatically cross out or not include a candidate that will show off only during election period. Like going out in the streets, talking with ordinary people during campaign only, and then after that and before that, you cannot even see them, you cannot even approach them. Okay, eating in public with their bare hands. Okay, trying to be one with people, even before election. You cannot see them doing that. Okay, so these are behavioral tendencies. So I mark them cross because I see them as fake behaviors. No, as fake. Okay. So what else? Again, so you have to this one behavioral observation is very important as well. This one role play test. I don't know how are we going to apply this one. So acting and improvise or partially improvised part in a simulated situation. So role play test. I believe you can see this or you can apply this in debate situations or interview situations. Okay? Or interview or during interview. So say for example, if you're the interviewer, you're going to present a scene and then ask the candidate what would be the best action to take if he is in that position or in that situation. Okay, so acting and partially improvised part in a simulated situation. In my class, usually we do role play test in different fields. So for example, in grocery store, so I'll ask the students to be a cashier, to be the bagger, and then I'll ask other students to be the customers, and then I appoint a customer who will be who is rude, different characters of customers, and let's see how the cashier and the bagger will react. So that's an example role play. Okay, but again, for our candidates, you can ask different situations during the interview or during the debates. However, this is again the problem. The Constitution does not require our candidates to be present in all debates. Okay. So if you remember last 2022, PBBM attended only one debate, I think. I remember that. And there was even an issue that he asked an advanced questions. So that's why personally I didn't vote for BBM. Okay. So, assessees are directed to act as if they were in a particular situation. So this is the okay. So that's it. Role play. These are the common. I didn't say this is the only. This is the only method that you can use. Again, this is just the common. You can use other things. You can apply other things. Okay. So what I can recommend further. We can have for example, you can add peer evaluation. Now, what is peer evaluation? You're going to ask the individuals surrounding the candidate, okay, about the person. Okay, if you encounter a family member, a relative, or a former friend of the person exposing things about the candidate, then that's a red flag already. Okay? Then you can also evaluate the peers as well. Again, the people surrounding the candidate, the sortie, the endorsers who are endorsing those individuals. So, for example, the artist, the businessmen who are endorsing the candidate, because behind it there might be in exchange in return when the candidate will win. So you have to evaluate that properly. Okay. So what else? This is the last one. Benefactor evaluation related to the endorsers. You have to observe who are the benefactors of the candidate. Of course, usually candidates they don't expose their benefactors, but try to dig deeper regarding their benefactors. I believe there would be documents, historical negotiations, historical uh, negotiations between the candidate and the might come out that you need to check. And what are you going to check? The advocacy of the benefactor, the type or the nature of business, etc. Okay? Because they might take advantage of it, of the candidate. Okay? And I believe um, you have to, again, you have to be very careful. No, there might again regarding the mainstream media might not present this particular candidate corrupt, or you might not hear an issue of corruption about this particular individual. However, the corruption happens, I see it still as corruption, when a candidate or a public servant focuses its laws that will benefit only the selected elite or the benefactors who supported them during the election. Okay? So I would still see it as corruption. Again, they might not be they might not um, have issues of getting funds from the government, but the fact that they favored those benefactors or the businesses of their benefactors, then I would see it as still as corruption. Okay, so we'll just stop here. So and then stay tuned for the next video. I hope you've learned something from about psychological assessment testing and how it is being applied in our Philippine election. Okay, so thank you very much. By the way, please do like and share our video so that others may know as well. Okay, so thank you very much and see you in the